And now, a word of faith from Bishop Barra.
Injustice is not from God. Our God is not a God of injustice because He is a righteous God. How come He is a righteous God and He makes injustice in your life? This is not true. Some people has told you that this is your test, that God is punishing you, that this is the cross you have to carry. No, this is not the cross you have to carry on. This is an evil spirit, the spirit of injustice. Injustice is an evil spirit. Would you pay for the same bill twice? Of course you wouldn't. You never pay for the same bill twice. If the bill is paid, it is injustice, a big one, to pay it or to be charged of it a second time. Very well. Jesus on the cross paid the highest price for us. It is paid. It is over. But now look at your life. Your finances, love life, family, your health, the house, the place where you live, the job, the salary. Everything shows that you are under injustice, that you are facing injustice in your life. Job one day were like you because he lost everything and everyone. But one day he said, my complaint today is still a bitter one. It was not sweet, it was bitter. And I try hard not to groan loud. If I only knew where to find God, I would go to his court. He did not know where to find, but I'm show to you the court of God is the altar, where he sits and where he serves justice. He said, I would lay out my case and present my argument. So you have to present your case before someone that can judge your case. That was what Paul Fleshner did. When he came to us, he had a case, a lawsuit. He brought the case to us, to the church, to the altar, to God's courtroom is the altar, and just was served for him. That's why all over the globe, where this church is, we are going to have on September 17th a day to present our complaints before God, the righteous judge. He's going to take your case, just as he took the case of Paul. His life was transformed. Justice was served.
My name is Paul Fleshner, and I had a case of injustice that came against me that could have been very devastating in my life had I not been strong enough in my faith to overcome it. The injustice that I had come against me was a lawsuit, a judgment that had been filed against me that I wasn't even aware of. I received a letter in the mail from a lawyer that I had a judgment filed against me in the amount of about $54,000. And I thought to myself, how can this be happening to me now? You know, it was such an injustice because I knew that I didn't owe them the money, and if I would have gotten notice of it prior, I would have been able to probably handle it in advance, but I didn't know about it. There had been over a year or two prior to this happening to me, I felt like things in my life weren't going in the right direction. Things were struggling in my business. There was a struggle in my marriage. There were just things that were happening that I was not pleased with. And I got to the point where I had had enough. So I brought it actually, the letter, the notice of the judgment to the church, and I showed it to the bishop, and I asked him to pray for me and with me about it. And we did. We put the papers on the altar. We said a prayer. He canceled it. He said nothing will come against you, and or nothing will survive and come against you. And I went out about my way. On Friday, I had received a phone call that I didn't know I had gotten. They left a message. I listened to this message from the previous night that was from the attorney who was handling actually another case for me, telling me that the case was going to be dismissed. It was about 3 days after we had prayed about the other case. And it was just out of the blue. I had no notice of it. It was a shock to me. I couldn't believe it. And I thought to myself, wow, this is a sign of my faith and my strength in my faith in helping me overcome a very significant problem. Could have been a tune of $50,000, $75,000 against me. When I went to the court of God, and I really went, I won. And I got this letter about 3 days after. The letter it's a stipulation of dismissal from the state of Massachusetts that says basically this case is dismissed against the defendant, Paul Flashner, MD, and actually, and this was, I really feel like this was God making a sign to me or signaling something to me. It said only, Paul Flashner, MD, only, and it's in bold letters. And it's so interesting because there were probably 6 or 7 other people involved in this suit, and they're still suing those people even today. And I've been relieved of the burden of this. And, you know, it was, and the other suit that actually the bishop and I had prayed for, that has been subsequently dismissed as well. So what I realized through all of this is that all of the injustices that can come against a person, of which there are many, will most certainly be canceled by the justice of God, as long as the person is faithful, lives in faith, and trusts in the justice of God.
Although there are innumerable human laws, there are still many injustices which no law can correct. What law can make the husband leave the lover? Make the son to stop using drugs? Bring your health back? Or what law can pay your debts? Have you received what you were supposed to earn? Then Job spoke again. My complaint today is still a bitter one, and I try hard not to groan aloud. If only I knew where to find God, I would go to his court. I would lay out my case and present my arguments. Every case brings 2 elements, arguments and evidence. There are many people full of arguments, but this is not enough to bring justice. There must be evidence. And in our case, the evidence is our faith in God's court. And that is why we will cry out to God before his tribunal. Sunday, September 17th, the day of God's justice in your life. 7075 Southwest Freeway, or in a Universal Church near you.